Well, I had a day, Scott. I had a day.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I overdosed today. On what, you might ask?
On what? Yeah.
Caffeine. I had too much caffeine. Hey, I'm Brian.
And I'm Scott.
And welcome to the Two Old Fashions podcast, where two friends get together, sip some drinks, and tell stories and have a little bit of small talk. What are you drinking tonight, Scott?
Well, tonight I got some Sangamo rye and just some regular simple syrup. And then I did half and half. I did Angostura bitters and orange bitters. And as always, it's a double. I'm ready to go.
And as always, where are those bitters from?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Where are my bitters from? They're the ones I got them at the Harris Teeter.
So what I'm hearing is you still haven't gotten a sponsorship package from And Bitters?
No, well, so we're talking about Yes Cocktail Company, of course, is
Yes,
what you're referring
okay.
to. Yes.
I am,
and I was
yes.
going to mention that I had to use just the regular simple syrup because I am out of my Yes Cocktail Company syrups.
I see.
So yes,
tragedy.
We're still waiting. We're 3 weeks in, and Yes Cocktail Company, we're still waiting for our sponsorship. Now, to be fair, and Brian, I think you mentioned this last week, we haven't published any of these episodes yet, so there's no way that you could have listened.
That's true.
But yes, we are calling out to you in the ether. We hope to hear from you soon.
Yes, and hop in that DeLorean, go back in time, and bring Scott his cocktail syrup because I don't know if he's going to make it.
But if there's some bitters companies that want to sponsor us as well, we will take them. Yes,
we can be very, very bitter.
I want to get Brian to what you're drinking as well, but just a question, like what are your thoughts on bitters? I mean, do you think bitters really make a difference? Because I've wondered this.
100%. You can definitely, and I mean, here's the thing: you got to put, what do they call them? Like a couple drops, a couple shakes. Like you got to really put them in there. If you just do like one little drop, like probably not. But they are aromatic. They really can change the flavor and complexion of a cocktail.
Have you ever done a bitters taste test? And by that, I mean like have a few different drinks, but with different bitters and been able to tell the difference between them?
Not at the same time, but I have gotten, it's like a great Christmas gift to give and receive, some of these packages that have a couple different flavors of bitters. And so, I mean, if you're doing a cherry bitter versus like a chocolate, you could definitely taste that. There's traditional orange, there's the aromatic, one of the ones, I forget the name, not a sponsor either. I mean, it really, I don't want to say blows up your drink because it does it in a nice complimentary way, but you can definitely tell.
Makes the drink blossom.
It does. Yeah. But you have to be ready for it. So yeah, I mean, honestly, tonight I did a rye from, actually, this one's very, very near and dear to my heart. We can talk about this later. This is a Wilderness Trail single barrel rye. It's a pick from our group from 2021 or maybe even late 2020 coming right out of the pandemic. This was actually the first ever CWA pick. This was back in the Stonks era, and we did this whole like Ryes Street picks to the moon, all that. We can talk about that a little bit more later. So I just did this. I actually made some simple syrup the other day. I used my wife's sugar in the raw, so just kind of a more thick sugar. So I made that and then just put a little bit of orange bitters in it. So hey, cheers.
Well, cheers. And you mentioned CWA. I want to ask you about that a little bit later. But I mean, we're already having a night. This is the second time we've recorded. We had a false start already. Just a little rusty. To go a little behind the scenes.
Well, I had a day, Scott. I had a day.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I overdosed today. On what, you might ask?
On what? Yeah.
Caffeine. I had too much caffeine. Woke up, always have my iced coffee. I'm an iced coffee like 360 days out of the year. Like it has to be really cold for me to want warm coffee. So have that, take the kids to the bus, normal, right? To drive from where we live to Alexandria. It's an hour and 15 in traffic for a coffee meeting with a client. So I get there 30 minutes early because with, all this, you gotta be ready for things to be even worse. So I get there, pull up to the counter, order my iced coffee. So iced coffee number 2 of the day, right? Lady comes up. She says, you know what? We got some new people working. Do you mind trying this? It might be a little strong. say, sure, okay. So I try it and I go, oh, yes, ma'am, this is quite strong. She goes, oh, okay, well, here's some milk. Like, fine, great. So I have that. I'm doing some work, getting some calls, and the client's coming. So I like to always have something in my hand. Our boy here at church, drink in my hand, whether it's an old fashioned, coffee, water. I just like to have something in my hand. So I'm like, all right, they're ordering coffee. I should order another one. I think somehow the second one was stronger than the first. And like, I drink a decent amount of caffeine. I got back to the office around 11:30 and I thought I was going to need to like curl up in a ball. I mean, my stomach hurt, my head hurt. I get this like bowl with like rice and stuff. I'm like, I got to absorb it. Like, it's almost like I had too much to drink, but it was just caffeine. So I don't know if you remember the famous Saved by the Bell episode, but I felt like Jesse Spano.
Oh yeah.
Just like, I'm so
you were so excited.
I'm so scared, but you know what? We're here and I feel better about myself.
Iced coffee has more caffeine than hot coffee. Is that right?
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know. I think it does.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this today. Like, I'm sure, yes, if you want to research the milligrams of caffeine, you can, but it's like, all right, you go get a beer, right? It's going to tell you what the ABV is.
Yeah.
Wine, you've got an idea. Spirits, they clearly say. Caffeine, I don't know. I don't know if Dunkin' is different than Starbucks, is different than the stuff I have home. I know this particular place. I mean, I should have known better. The place is called Buzz. So maybe I just should have done my research.
You could have gone across the street to Rustico.
I could have, yeah. Maybe got a little beer to like level the whole thing out. Yeah. So
now I'm not a coffee connoisseur, but I think if they're doing the iced coffee right, you're not taking hot coffee and pouring it over ice. You're like soaking the water in the coffee grinds overnight.
Yep.
Like in the refrigerator, and it's absorbing more caffeine. So yeah, you probably had like the equivalent of 6 cups of coffee in a 3-4 hour period.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, I think there's a difference between cold brew and iced coffee. Who's to say?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. I could be making
I don't either.
I don't know.
But I'm happy to be here. I might be up till 2. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, hopefully the old fashioned counteracts the caffeine, and
that is the plan.
You're evened out for bedtime.
Yeah, I am. So yeah, let's get into it. You had, I think you had some questions.
Well, before we get into the topic of the day, which the topic of today was going to be bourbon, I did want to go a little inside baseball because for those of our regular listeners, you know that we both have had trouble saying the name of this podcast. What is the name of our podcast?
I thought it was 2 Old Fashions.
I have trouble, at least 2 Old Fashions.
Yeah.
So I was thinking we need to shorthand it, right? We need what would be the shorthand for 2 Old Fashions? 2 OF, right? 2 OF.
Okay.
But then I was thinking, do you think we're going to confuse people and they're going to think we are like an OnlyFans podcast? And if people did think we were an OnlyFans podcast, is that a positive or a negative? Like, do you think we might actually get some new listeners because of that?
I have no idea. I'm not opposed to trying to find out.
Okay. Well, I'm curious. So if any of our listeners found us by searching for 2OF, please let us know in the comments.
Are we going to go with the number 2 like that, or TWF?
I figured the number 2. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
2OF.
Okay, that works.
Yeah. Cool.
That'll look good when we get matching tattoos at some point.
Yes, exactly. Or at least bracelets, right? Like friendship bracelets. Yeah. I think we need to do that. But Brian, you are the biggest whiskey aficionado, fanatic that I know. And for a podcast called 2 Old Fashions, I just wanted to ask you some questions about your whiskey love, obsession, history. I don't know how you want to classify it.
I don't know, but I've been called way worse than aficionado, so thank you.
Okay. Well, so I was trying to think, right? And we don't need to get into too specific of, our drinking history or anything like that. We don't want to go down that road. But what is your first memory of whiskey? Do you have a first memory of what whiskey is? Because I have a distinctive one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so my parents weren't big drinkers, but they had things around the house. And, I've from a young age kind of had like a marketing and branding mindset. So I do remember seeing like in my dad's cupboard Maker's Mark, right? It has the red dripping wax, which is iconic, trademarked. Bottle of Jack Daniels, right? That square black label with the print, old number 7, and then Woodford Reserve. And that just, beautiful bottle. Again, like just strikes you as classy. So like I remember those brands. Now, did I sneak a sip of that Jack Daniels at some point? Probably. So yeah, that was probably.
I said we didn't have to go down that route.
I mean, I'm well past the statute of limitations.
But I was actually thinking about it in a different way. Like, have you ever seen, or when you were a kid, did you ever see Back to the Future Part 3?
All right, so
that's the one where they're in the Western.
Okay.
1800s.
This could be a whole nother episode. Movies Brian has not seen. That one. I'm familiar with it. Like once you said 3, I was like, oh yeah, the Old West. Have I ever seen it? No. I have seen 1 and 2, but I have not seen 3. Is it worth it?
Well, 3 is my favorite. Absolutely.
Okay.
And that might be, a unique perspective, but I think 3 is very, very good. But you do have to see 2 and 1 before you see 3. It'll be that much more worth it. But in 3, they're at the old saloon. I think it's maybe in 1812. Might be the year. Again, might be just making this up. But they're doing shots of whiskey. And, they're like, hair stands up and the smoke comes out of their ears and they like run outside and dunk their heads in troughs because it was such a strong, mash or blend or whatever it is. And they're going crazy. And that's what I thought whiskey was. I thought that's what whiskey did to you until I was probably like a junior in college. When I finally realized, no, it doesn't blow your brains out when you take a sip of it. And so, I had a fear of whiskey until I was, probably honestly about 21. If I wasn't mixing with Coke, I wasn't going near it until I got a little older.
Yeah. Hey, taking a step back, you want to hear 2 fun facts since we're just going to talk about whiskey tonight? So,
of course.
We were talking earlier about like how how strong something is, and that's called the proof. Well, back in those days, they would actually take a little bit of the whiskey and then light it on fire. And if it stayed lit, that was proof that it was strong enough. And then part 2, shot, right? Like, let's take shots, or what's a shot? Apparently they used to trade bullets for sips of alcohol. So that's where that came from. I'm 90% sure both of those are true.
I'm buying it. I'm going to tell those stories next time I'm drinking with some people.
Yeah.
Are you a bourbon or a rye guy?
I'm both. It depends on the night, depends on the mood. I will say I'm probably more often in the mood for rye. I know, we're on episode 3. My first 2 old fashions were both with bourbon. Yeah. 90% of the time though, I'm reaching for a rye for a cocktail. I think they make better cocktails. And I also I enjoy a little bit of spice, and rye tends to have a little bit of that.
It's like a little bite in the back of your throat.
Yeah. I mean, for people that aren't as familiar, right? So bourbon has to be 51% or more corn. Usually that secondary grain is rye and then a little bit of barley. And then rye is going to be 51% or more rye. So, and then usually corn and barley. Going back to the bourbon, sometimes they add wheat. But anyways, it's kind of the makeup, or what they call the mash, that determines what that ultimate spirit is called.
Okay. If you had your eyes closed, could you take a sip of something and tell if it was bourbon or if it was rye?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Again, this kind of goes into like
what's your confidence level? What like how much money would you put on your ability to do this?
Well, I think as we talked about, I'm not a big betting guy. So I mean, $10 or maybe just, the next round of drinks. Like that would be fun. Okay. But, and again, it's different, Scott, because like some ryes are what's called 95.5. So 95% rye, 5% barley. Kentucky style ryes are 51% rye. So they call them barely legal. So, a barely legal Kentucky style rye is going to taste and smell a lot like maybe a bourbon that's 60% corn and 35% rye and 5% barley. So like if it was a 95.5 rye versus a, Kentucky style bourbon, I'm pretty confident I could get that just on the nose or the smell, but different recipes, it's always a fun game to play. I lose most of the time.
Okay. I think that might be a fun little game we play on one of these podcasts. I don't know how we make it happen, but I think that'd be kind of fun.
I mean, I think I could put some special things in your mailbox and we can make it happen.
Now we're talking. So everyone can see behind you. You have a number of bottles on display. You're calling in, you're speaking from your library in your basement right now.
There are also books. People have been like, how can you call it a library? There's no books. I got like 7 or 8 books. They're all about bourbon, but
I've seen them. You do have books. Pages. I can vouch for that. And
some of them have words too. Most of them have pictures.
I've been in your library before. You have a number of different cabinets and closets, and you open one up and there's just bottles and bottles and bottles. And like, do you know how many bottles you have in your basement right now? In the room you're sitting in right now, how many bottles are we talking?
That's a good question. At one point I had a Google Doc, and then I felt like that was potentially just too much. It was too much to keep up with. And, I'm glad you didn't accuse me of having a drinking problem, because I think I have a purchasing problem.
Not at all. No.
I have a shopping problem.
Yeah,
I know. But a little bit of collecting. I mean, and it's funny too, like when we were in our townhouse before we moved here, it starts small, right? Like there was a china cabinet, and I took one shelf over and I had 3 bottles, and then I took another shelf and I had 6 bottles, and then it just kind of multiplied. And then it's kind of one of those things, like the more space you have, the more you expand. So then we moved to this house, and there's like a little butler's pantry, and I took that over, and that started to overflow, and here we are. So I mean, if we just wanted to ballpark it, I would say 250 to 300.
I honestly thought you were going to say a much higher number than that.
No.
I'm a little disappointed.
Here's the other thing. Like, I know many people that have more bottles than I do.
100%. Yeah. I can think of at least 2 right now that we both know.
And I feel like I've gained discipline. We were texting earlier, and I was like, I'm walking to the ABC store. They had like 4 bottles that I would enjoy having. I didn't buy any of them. Like, you do get to a point where enough is enough. So it has to be like really special for me to do now. And then we're in this pick group, so we get some really cool single barrels on occasion. So I've been trying to tamper it down. And the industry overall is suffering a little bit because people really stocked up during the pandemic, weren't going out to eat. This was their form of entertainment. And now we've all got a lot. And, with bourbon in particular, and rye being an aged spirit, it's very tough on these brands to forecast. So they're thinking, all right, how much am I going to need in 4, 6, 8, 10 years? So it's actually going to be great for us that are big whiskey fans, as long as most of the brands survive, because they're going to have better aged products at less expensive prices, I would say, over the next couple of years. I'm excited about.
So I've noticed in the few podcasts that we've done so far, you try to stay on theme, right? Last week we were talking music. You picked a music bourbon, a bourbon named after music. But let's just say it's a random Thursday night. You come downstairs to the library. How do you decide what you're going to drink? Do you have a system? Do you have a process?
I don't. Sometimes I'll go through phases. So, I hate to finish a bottle, right? Because, if it's something I really love, I want to keep it. But then every once in a while, I'm like, well, I need to cycle in some new ones. So maybe I'll have like a finish the bottle phase where it's like, I'll take the ones that are really low and just be like, all right, let's get rid of this Russell's. Let's finish off this Eagle Rare, things like that. Or, I might just come down and be like, I want something spicy. So I'm going to go for a rye. Or, you know what? I just want something a little bit sweeter. So maybe I'm going to hit Maker's Mark because that's a wheated bourbon. So it just kind of depends on my mood, how I'm feeling, how my day was. Or sometimes I'll just be like, just point. For a while, I would have my wife just grab a bottle, pour me a little, and then I wouldn't know what it was. And that was just kind of a way for me to just try to figure out, like, all right, do I really like this? To your point earlier, let's play a game. Is this a rye? Is this a bourbon?
Would you do 20 questions? Would you try to figure out what it was?
I had this little notebook, and I would like write all these things. And then, like I said, I was wrong 99 out of 100 times. So then I just kind of stopped. But it is fun to take away kind of everything you think you know. And, you hinted at this in one of our earlier episodes, but we had that great time where I came over to your place with some of our friends. Oh, I'm going to hold on that.
Well, yeah, hold on that, because I want to close with that story, because I like that one. I did want to ask you, do you have whiskey slippers?
I like smoking slippers?
Well, yes, but when you're drinking whiskey, do you wear any like special footwear or anything along those lines?
That is an odd question. I feel like you're really leaning into this this OnlyFans idea, but no, I do not have special things for my feet while I drink whiskey.
Do you have any like special clothing? Like, again, random Friday, you're just going downstairs to relax by yourself. You don't have like, no. Okay. I knew somebody.
I mean, you say that, and I do have a pair of Maker's Mark socks and a pair of Elijah Craig socks, because you go to enough events and you get some things. So, but no, I'm not putting those on particularly. But it sounds like you have a friend that has some footwear.
I had a friend who said he had whiskey slippers, and he told me about this. It was probably like 12 years ago by now. And still to this day, I think about it, how like I don't have whiskey slippers. And, I run hot generally. So, yeah, I don't like to have socks on my feet as much as I can to cool my body down. Is that TMI? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the idea of having like special slippers when I'm drinking whiskey, I love that idea. So I've tried a few different slippers to be my whiskey slippers, but that just nothing has stuck. So I wanted to see if I was the weird one, or maybe this guy was the weird one. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, I remember last episode you told me your 40th birthday is coming up for the third time, so I think I know what I'm going to try to get you now.
Get me some whiskey slippers. Absolutely. You've heard of whiskey glasses. You need some whiskey slippers, yeah?
100%.
But yeah, so we did this taste test. This was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was Labor Day weekend. And again, Brian and I had just kind of become friends. I had invited some friends over to our house to do this big bottle share taste test. And I think everybody was asked to bring 2 bottles, maybe 3 bottles. I don't remember exactly what it was.
2 sounds right. I think some people brought 3, but yeah, it was min 2.
We asked people to bring a maybe less than $20 bottle, or maybe less than $30. I don't remember, but a cheaper bottle, and then a more expensive bottle. So bring 2 ends of the spectrum. And my wife, who doesn't really care for brown liquor, she was the hostess. And we did a March Madness tournament to determine collectively what was our favorite bourbon. That way we know when we go to the liquor store, when we go to Brian's library, we know what bourbon to pick off the wall, because it's going to be our collective favorite.
Which I will say, so I don't want to cut you off, but I am.
Yes.
Like, love the idea. Here's the thing I've come up with. I don't care if I found what I thought would be the perfect bourbon. I don't care if I tried all these 250 bottles and was like, this one is the best. I would still keep trying new stuff. So 100%. I hear you. But like, so I mean, that's the flaw in the hobby, or the fun of it, right? Like there's always something you're gonna be like, well, this could be better. But I love what you set up. So keep going.
I love the taste test activity. We've done it. I mean, just this past Super Bowl last month, we did a soda taste test where we had like Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Zero. We had them all to try to figure out what is the best soda that's out there. By the way, Coke Zero, I believe, is the one that won. So we've done this for a number of different things. Light beer is also a fun taste test because they all taste so similar, but yet so different when you taste them back to back. But yes, I think we had at least 16 bottles, and it was single elimination to determine what was the best bourbon. And I'm going to throw this picture up on the screen for everyone to see of all the bottles that we had during this taste test. And again, Brian and I, we had just relatively recently become friends. I didn't realize that in his basement, he had 250 or 300 bottles of bourbon. I thought he was just my neighbor who was coming over to drink bourbon.
I mean, and to be fair, I didn't have that many. They've accumulated since we become friends. Not because we became friends, didn't drive me to drink more, yes. But it has multiplied.
But I think you brought a couple nice bottles over as well, if I remember correctly. Do you remember what collectively we decided was the top bourbon?
I have an idea.
I mean, we had all of the standards.
Yes.
Right.
It was definitely in the quote unquote cheap category. I think it might have been, was it Jim Beam White Label?
It was Jim Beam White Label. Jim Beam White Label, which was extremely embarrassing in the moment. I don't know why. I mean, Jim Beam, that's fine. I think there's a reason why it's so mass market, probably because it is a favorite to many.
Yeah.
It's affordable. It does the trick.
Yeah.
But that was not that was not what we were expecting to be I thought it'd be Woodford Reserve or Basil Hayden's or something along those lines, which were all part of the contest. But just like a number of these different taste tests. So I mentioned the cola taste test that we did. We did a light beer taste test. I've done some wine taste tests as well. The idea, like I said, is we now know what our favorite is. This is what we're going to order from now on. Well, I will never go to a restaurant and order a Jim Beam. No offense, Jim Beam. No offense to you.
Right. They're
but I'm
the
never
winner.
going to order that. And then I think it was a few days after that where I figured out, oh my gosh, Brian is the president of a whiskey association. He actually knows what he's talking about. He must have been laughing on the inside the entire time.
No, I loved it, right? Because it's classic, it's available. And yeah, I mean, you get into this hobby, you become an enthusiast, you chase all these things. And then there's just so much goodness out there. So like, I love it when that kind of thing happens. Like, you don't have to spend $200, even $150 on a bottle. Like, yes, you could get a cool experience and try something that's highly aged or a different proof or, finished in something or comes from the cellars under somebody's grandpappy's basement. Like, cool. Like, that's fun. But like, I think it's great for the hobby that like this kind of stuff exists, that it's just a traditional bourbon mash bill. Like you said, it's the workhorse of Jim Beam, a well-established company. And like, it's good, right? Like that's great. That's good for everybody. It can get more people interested. So cheers to them.
Yeah. Cheers to them. Cheers to them. Maybe, next week, let's make Jim Beam old fashions.
I would have to get a bottle. Oh, no,
I think you got one.
I definitely have something in that Beam family for sure.
Well, that's awesome. Any other closing thoughts for the bourbon discussion?
We're in an age, right, where we see less people drinking, and I think that's good for people's health. But I personally have enjoyed the hobby. I find it fun to sip some drinks, have good conversations like we are. Like, that's the idea behind this. I think it can be a great social lubricant. I know it gets used in business. So I just want to end with a cheers to America's native spirit. Scott.
Hey, I love it. Cheers.
Have a great week, and we'll see you out there.
See you next week.
All right.